Hello, 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 my wonderful neighbors on this good evening as I come back in 2024 for our first meeting in 2024. Debrief as we had tonight at the Board of Commissioners Historic Courthouse in our boardroom. We had our first meeting of the year on this January 9th, 2024. I have to remember to say 2024. So happy New Year to all. I know many did not attend the meeting tonight because of the bad weather, some flooding that occurred around the county. So I hope that you all are safe. And I was told that it might start back up tonight. So hopefully that won't happen. But I'm going to get into the debrief of tonight's meeting. Let me log into here. I'm trying to log in. So for those who are up with me, Happy New Year. For those who will see it tomorrow, Happy New Year on this great Tuesday. So let's get into it. So tonight we had our first Board of Commissioners meeting, and thank God that we ended at 8:20. Thank God that we ended at 8:20. The last meeting, for those who attended know, that meeting almost went into, actually it did, went into midnight. We should never, ever, ever, ever have a meeting that long to have residents wait to the end or leave because they wanted to speak to the commissioners and voice their opinion. As I stated in the 2024, my motto is your Newton voice matters. And we should be able to hear your voice. And that's why I propose to the Board of Commissioners that we have citizen comments, just like the city of Covington has. And many of the other counties have their citizen comments in the beginning. Excuse me, I'm trying to say in the beginning. So all of the meetings are in the beginning of the meeting. So I'm with hopes and prayers that the commissioners would see the, I would say, concerns of the residents. And if we have a meeting that's going to be long, that we at least allow the residents to be heard. Your Newton voice does matter. As I debrief tonight, as I debrief for the BOC meeting, as we started with item number 1. Now, before we went to item number 1, as you know, for those who were with me tonight, I had concerns about the agenda. And why I had concerns about the agenda, I'm going to tell you why. Commissioners received the agenda before everyone else, so we can review it. And if we have any questions, but obviously, that really doesn't help because we get the agenda on Friday and it's sent out on Friday. So if there's any concerns from the commissioners before the agenda is sent out, it's not an ample amount of time to discuss. I know there are some, well, actually, there's many boards that get their agenda at least a week in advance, and it's in the hands of the commissioners to be able to go over and to discuss and to ask questions. But we don't get that opportunity here in Newton County. So I had questions in the beginning in regards to the agenda. The original agenda that we received, item 15, item 16, 17, and 18 were appointments of appointment of staff members that the commissioners appoint every year. Since I've been on this board, it's been on the agenda every year. Since Commissioner Henderson been on the board, we know he's the longest serving commissioner. Every year, the board votes for or reappoints or appoint a county manager, a county attorney, or the law firm in our situation, and the county clerk. So I had a question when the agenda came out, and I asked that just only to the county attorney and our county clerks. And the question I had was the county attorney's name was on, well, the county attorney position was on the agenda as item number 16, which we know, as we see, if you see the agenda, it has changed. And so I asked that question in regards to contractual, because the 3 commissioners last year in May gave the contract or extended the contract for 2 years. And since I've been on the board, the contract for the county manager has only been a year. So I question as why was the county's manager name on the agenda when a contract was given for 2 years? I was told, and you can do open records, you can pull my emails. I was told by the county attorney that there is a code where this is supposed to be done every year and placed on the agenda. Then it came back to say that there is no law that says we have to put those appointments on the agenda. So my question was to the county attorney and for the board to be able to have this information is, well, how are the commissioners able to vote if it's not placed on the agenda? Based on our enabling legislation, which is a bill, it's a state bill that says the Board of Commissioners have the authority to appoint the county attorney, has the authority to appoint the county clerk, as well as the county manager. That is in a bill that was passed by our state legislatures in regards to Newton County. We also have a code here in Newton County where we do those appointments every year. But per our county attorney, there is no law that says it has to be placed on the agenda. So how are the commissioners supposed to appoint and vote if it's not placed on the agenda? So that's the question I was asking tonight. That's why you saw me constantly asking questions, because I could not get an answer. Is how are you going to vote for those 3 staff members that we're supposed to appoint if it's not on the agenda? It's illegal for us to vote behind the scenes. So it was removed from the agenda. So the taxpayers will not ever see, I'm assuming since they've changed it up, everything's been changed up since Mr. Sanders has been on the board. I guess because I asked questions that in regards to transparency. And so my question was, how are we supposed to appoint when there's no law that says you don't have to put it on the agenda? Are we just going to have commissioners voting behind the scenes and just say, I want to keep this person and never, ever place it on the agenda? As taxpayers, as residents in this community, don't you want to know how much you're paying your county manager and who's going to be sitting in this position? Don't you want to know the reviews and the I guess the feedback of what's happening in the county in regards to operation? As your county clerk, don't you want to know what's going on and how to appoint the county clerk? Don't you want to know about our county attorney? Let's speak on that. In 2016, the commissioners voted to go to an in-house attorney for us to save money because they said we've been spending too much money on legal fees. But that is false. We've been spending more money on legal fees since we went to the consultant type route or the appointment type route. So at this point, we have not appointed a county attorney. We have a law firm. So don't you want to know how much you're spending on legal fees? Don't you want to know who is in place? Shouldn't there be a process to where there can be more people nominated or more law firms or individuals nominated to be appointed? Shouldn't there be a process to where you can nominate or have more people nominated for the position of county clerk? Those are the things that we need to have procedures in place. We can't just say we're just going to take it off the agenda, and whenever a commissioner feel like they want to appoint somebody or change that person out, it should be done. That does not even sound legal to me. That doesn't even sound right. So don't you as residents in Newton County want to know the process of appointing a county clerk and your attorney? We do have a detailed process for our county manager, how that works. But if our code is put in place to where we're supposed to be doing this every year and it's been done for decades, don't you want to know that? So that was one of the issues. I wanted to amend the agenda to put it back on for transparency for our residents and our taxpayers. But unfortunately, we don't have a process in regards to making it legal or making it to be placed on the agenda. So the question should be, how are the commissioners supposed to vote and appoint if it's not done like it's been done for decades and put on the agenda? I noticed that we're starting to find a lot of loopholes for stuff that has been done for years to appease individuals versus doing what's right for the county and doing what's right for the people. 2024, a comedian said, this is the year of exposure. This is the year, residents, you have to speak out about the things you do not like what's happening in your community. You have to speak out to those things that are unethical. So let's move on. I also ask in regards to item number 9B that says ratification of the mental health adoption through the county. That's item number 9B. There's a reason why I asked that, because for months I have been asking for this resolution to be placed on the agenda. And when I said that we only had one more meeting left in the year for it to get approved so that our lobbyists with ACCG can fight on behalf of the counties to get assistance, funding down to the counties for our residents who suffer with mental illness. I've been asking since September. So finally, it was placed on the agenda. If you remember the last meeting, I also tried to add it to the agenda because I noticed that it did not look like a vote. And I was told it was on the agenda. When we got to that section, I was right because it was given like a proclamation to a resident. The commissioners never voted to adopt mental health as a crisis, as an issue in Newton County. So when we were informed, our ACCG asked us, did we actually do this? Coming to find out, when our deputy clerk says, okay, ACCG is trying to figure out if you guys really did vote or adopt. And I said to her, you are correct. We never voted. It was given to a resident. So we never voted to adopt mental illness, mental health as a crisis in Newton County, something that we are going to support here in the county. So that's where it comes from when we speak of ratification. I wanted there to be an educational piece because not everybody knows. You can't expect for everybody to know everything. So I wanted the residents to hear why this was being placed on the agenda when it was supposed to be agenda item last meeting and what occurred. And that when you say ratification, are the residents able to see who basically voted behind the scenes? That's basically what it is. You go around asking a commissioner if they support a certain item, and then you put it on the agenda and vote and put it on the consent agenda as one vote. So the residents don't even get a chance to see if Commissioner Sanders was for the resolution, if any other commissioner that's on that board was on the resolution. That's why I'm not a huge in favor of consent agendas unless it's done properly, unless that consent agenda only has those things that do not need to be discussed. And that's the issue I have with consent agendas. Moving right along, as you see here on the agenda, we did some annexations with the city of Covington. I'm sorry, with the city of Mansfield, we did some annexations, and I think Porterdale. Forgive me, that was Porterdale. And we also did some appointments here as well. Our new vice chair is Commissioner Stan Edwards from District 1. It's a rotating position. It's good to see that on the agenda because, as you remember, in 2021, that was not reiterated to where they did not want to give me the vice chair position. But I'm glad we're moving forward and doing it correctly. As you can see on the agenda, it says rotating position. That's the first ever in history that they ever placed. This is a rotating position, that it rotates every year to each commissioner. Nothing said, no discussion. It's placed under the consent agenda. We also went to our county manager report. This is what I want to speak to with the residents of District 3. And we received some updates in regards to the movement of SPLOS, special purpose sales tax. And so you, as the residents of Newton County, voted for the special purpose sales tax. And you voted to what you wanted to see done with your 1%. You voted for that. And so we are still not complete with the projects from 2017. The remaining projects are the West Side Youth Facility, the Yellow River project, as well, the trail. And there's a couple of others that are still in progress. Spring Hill Park is almost complete. It's supposed to be completed by the spring of 2024. All the other projects in parks and recreation are complete except in District 3. Very interesting. Except in District 3. District 3 has a project from 2017. There is a project, we've already started projects for 2023 that hasn't even secured funding. So we started those projects. To give you an update, as I mentioned today, for those residents in District 3 that are listening to me, going with the West Side Park, the West Side Community Park. The commissioners gave our attorney a directive a while back. I did not vote for that because we're not supposed to vote behind the scenes, but I did not approve of it because it wasn't what the residents wanted. As you know, I am a commissioner that goes with my constituents, my neighbors. It wasn't what they voted for. When you asked them to come out to a community meeting, decide where they wanted their park to be, you went the opposite direction in an area where you didn't even consult with the community to see if they wanted all of that combustion or any movement over in that area. They never asked for it. So that was placed over on that side of town. And so I was informed that the property is no longer available. And so now we're back at square one to find land. And we hope that we will go with what the residents requested from day one and not go against what the people have came out of their homes, drove all the way to the west side precinct to vote, place a sticker on the board where they wanted their park to be. Let's move forward, Board of Commissioners, in 2024 and give the people what they desire. It is not about Commissioner Sanders. I am just a voice of the people. I come as one, but I stand up for thousands. So we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing and to vote for people. I pulled the document to see where our impact fees are coming from in Newton County. As I thought, the impact fees are mainly coming from District 3. I knew that based on the amount of homes that we have in District 3. For those who don't know what impact fees are, every house that is built, a certain amount of the funds from that house being built goes to the county. I want to say it's about 15 to 3,000 per home. Don't quote me on the amount per home that's built. It goes to the county. Now we know that District 3 has the most homes in the county. So it's obvious that the area with the most homes is going to be accruing the most impact fees. And so with that, normally impact fees are used for capital improvement, parks and recreation, betterment of roads, and so forth. None of those fundings that were accumulated from District 3 are placed back in the area. So that's why a lot of the residents who come to me ask why there is not movement in District 3. I understand if you're trying to move forward and do some things because you were upset in regards to these things are not happening in your community. I completely understand. Do what you have to do because this is your community and these are your tax dollars. So I asked that question to our county manager tonight and said, why is there no movement in District 3? You have Spring Hill Park that's about to be completed in the spring with the community center, playground, walking trails, and everything that needs to be in a huge parking area. The same desire for those residents for decades in District 3. So why is there no movement? Why are the commissioners so boggled about where this should be when you ask the residents to tell you where they would like it to be in their community? This is where your Newton voice does matter. This is where you need to speak up and speak out. You've already told them from coming out to an interest meeting to vote where you would like it to be. So let's hope the commissioners will place this where it needs to be. So we are back at square one because we do not have land. I heard this week from the $4 million grant from HUD. HUD stated that we are probably one of the few that has not responded and turned in the paperwork for the $4 million grant, free money that is sitting there to help build the West Side Youth Facility. You heard me. HUD has stated and asked for us to attend the meeting because we are of the few that has not turned in the paperwork for the $4 million grant that, of course, I applied for the district, for the county. The money is sitting there waiting for us to say where the youth facility is going to be so we can get this $4 million. It makes no sense that we are allowing $4 million to sit on the table for personal vendettas. It makes no sense that we are allowing $4 million to where our taxpayers would not be taxed for a project and it will not come out of the general fund. All the funding is there to build a nice and wonderful facility for the county, although it may be in the district, but it can be so high tech with technology, with the amount of money that we would have, that many of the students, many of the residents in the county will want to utilize the building, especially how it was proposed to be designed. So it's really important that we look at those aspects. So we are back at square one, residents of District 3, because the location that was not a part of your vote, that the county attorney was given a directive to get appraisal, is no longer available. So we are back at square one. If we would have went with the properties that the residents stated where they wanted these certain items, projects to be, we will be far along than we are now. We would at least had cleared out land or had a brick that has been put up, but we have not done so. I believe in moving smart. I believe in moving with a plan. I believe in not doing things by out the side of our necks because it's personal vendetta. So let's move forward. So that's the update in regards to the splash projects. There are only 3 projects left from 2017 that has not been complete. It is cost to us because we have a project manager that is maintaining it. And it's anytime that project manager moves or does anything on our behalf, the project manager is invoicing us out of those dollars. So it's imperative that we move forward because a lot of the fees are going to be eaten up by the project manager. So let's move forward with that. As we move forward in regards to, we had item number 11, consideration propose annexation of the parcel map. We did that. That is the city of Mansfield is requesting to annex approximately 2.98 acres of land on Sewell Road. Excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly. So we did approve that as well. Approval of the resolution in regards to the commissioner setting the qualifying fees for election. For those who want to know how we set those qualifying fees, they are set based on the salaries of the elected official. 3% of that salary. So 3% of that salary is what the qualifying fee will be. I did learn tonight, which was very interesting, because I was wondering why the position of the chair qualifying fee was more than our clerk of court and our sheriff, because I know their salary is a little bit higher. But I was informed that they do not base it on the salary that they get they receive from the state, only the salary that they receive from the county. So the constitutional officers are also paid by the state, and they're paid by the county. So their qualifying fee, the 3%, is based on the amount that the county gives them. So that was an educational moment. So I love education and learning new things on how that's calculated. And so the state takes care of the rest. So they are only paying their fees based on the salary that's given to them by the county. So that was item number 12. Then item number 13, information system is requesting approval of additional network storage. Our IT director came before us requesting us to move forward. The cost of that was $14,000, $14,415, because we need more storage in Newton County. We have a lot of, we're no longer doing paper. Everything is digital. So we need space to be able to save those items. I thought we did this last year because I remember speaking to our former IT director who told me that we did this of this magnitude, because I know I was kind of over my storage. I try not to delete anything. I save every document. I try to do that. And delete what needs to be deleted. And so I was over the storage, and I remember him telling me that we actually we voted for this, but I could be wrong. I do remember having that conversation with Greg, who was our former IT director. Number 14, Public Works is requesting the Board of Commissioners approval to contract with Excellior Construction, so that the restoration of the Cricket Frog Trail over Alcovey River project. That amount was $900,000, $994,000. As our transportation director, Chester Clegg, presented that to us with the representatives of the Cricket Frog Trail Committee. And we had item number 15, which was a new one for me, because as long as I've been on the board, I've never seen the nomination of a hearing officer. And I did ask our longest serving commissioner, Commissioner Henderson, I said, have y'all ever had this? And he said, we never went back to that. It's something old. So, in regards to our county attorney explaining it to us in detail, there was a nominee, and he said, based on our code, the nominee comes from the county attorney and the county manager. I'm going to also request some of these codes. I believe in reading information, not saying that the information given to you is not correct, but I believe in also reading it for myself so I can become more abreast of it as well, so I can articulate exactly what is being presented to us. So there was a nomination tonight of the personnel hearing officer, which is E. Logan Butler. And so E. Logan Butler Esquire is the person who will be put in place if there are issues where someone in the county or a staff member was wrongfully terminated. They would go before this hearing. Although we do have our HR department in effect that will kind of mediate that, and hopefully it will go to her first or the whole department, and it will stop there because there is a fee that accumulates when you have an attorney. So I did ask the question in regards to if we go into a hearing process with Attorney Butler, what is the cost? And I was informed that it's between $200 to $250 an hour. So I believe in being cost effective. And so that's why I asked those questions, what were going to be the duties of HR before it gets to that point, and what will be the whole process and the structuring. My question was also asked is if our HR director gives a recommendation. For an example, if our county attorney wants to fire someone within the county and our HR director says this might not be a good look for the county, it could potentially go into lawsuits or so forth, do we take those recommendations and are they documented? Because that's very important to hear from the HR director. So I did hear from the county manager that yes, the HR director does give recommendations and they are documented. So we know all of this is public records. So if you have any questions, you can go and possibly see those documentation. And so if it moves forward to where a staff member is appealing their termination, that's when it would move to a hearing with Attorney Butler. So those are all of the agenda items for tonight. It was a quick meeting. We got out about 8, I would say 8:20 or so. Items 16 and 17 were the was renewal of alcohol license or the first reading of alcohol license. And of course, we had our citizen comments and so forth. And so though I just want to do a debriefing of our Board of Commissioners meeting tonight. And I can say I'm so happy that we did get out at 8:20. So if you have any questions for me, I'm glad I gave that update for our district in regards to the splash projects. Remember that your Newton voice does matter. It is time out for us sitting behind the scenes and complaining. If there is something that you see that's not correct, you come down to that Board of Commissioners meeting and you utilize your 3 minutes to speak, or you reach out to the commissioners and be able to say what needs to be said. But I always suggest you come down to that Board of Commissioners meeting and say what needs to be said, because it's documented and it's placed on records. So no commissioner can ever say that we did not hear you. So again, this is Commissioner Sanders with a debriefing of tonight's meeting, and I hope you have a good evening. Talk soon.